Alright, I decided I want to talk about the Monroe Institute a little bit because they have played a huge role in this journey so far, and Robert Monroe. So when I first started learning about consciousness, I heard Sean Webb talk about the Monroe Institute, and I didn't know what it was for the longest time. I didn't look it up. And it's basically an institute to work on your consciousness and grow your consciousness. And they have all kinds of different programs for all kinds of different things that people can try to achieve. If you want to work on your creativity, manifestation, out of body, anything. They have so many programs. I really want to go there. It is a goal of mine to go there one day. And yeah, so if you haven't looked them up, definitely look them up and check out Robert Monroe and his 3 books. He keeps it very scientific. He does not want to bring religion into it. He doesn't want to bring this like spirituality side of it into it. He tries to just keep it the black and white. He uses very non-descriptive terms, and he came up with the focus levels. So there's focus 1, which is right now, everyday consciousness. This is your normal state of being. This is where most people operate on their daily basis. Then there's focus 3, which is kind of introductory. And then you get to focus 10, which is mind awake, body asleep. And that's where you can start having out-of-body experiences. And also it's just extremely relaxing. You can't feel your body at all. It's just, you're floating there. You're just awareness at that point. And then you get to focus 12, which is expanded consciousness. That's what I listen to when I'm doing my sky watching. I feel like it can help me connect to whatever's out there sometimes. Definitely not needed, but seems to make it more active if I do that. Sorry if I'm squinting. I'm now walking towards the sun. It's very bright. And then you got focus 15, which is the state of no time. And that one's also very relaxing. It's just kind of like an abyss where you just exist. And it doesn't matter if you're there for minutes or hours, like you just are. And then focus 21 that I have done. There's also focus 18, which I haven't done. But focus 21 is the bridge between like this reality and the afterlife, basically. And I really enjoy that one. That's one of my favorite focus levels. That and focus 12. But focus 21 is where I first thought I was starting to feel vibrations, which were very minor. It was just like a little, kind of like a little bit of a buzzing, nothing crazy. I was like, oh, this must be the vibrations. The vibrations are way more intense. But yeah, I highly recommend checking them out. And they have the Expand app that you can download, and they have a whole bunch of meditations on there that are super awesome, and you can do the focus levels. So that's where I first started doing all these things. And yeah, just get out there and start learning. All right, so then that brings me to, let's talk about Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe is very fascinating. So in 1958, he spontaneously had his first out-of-body experience, where all of a sudden he woke up and he was bumping against the ceiling, looked down, saw his wife laying in bed, and saw there was someone laying next to her. And he's like, this is the most peculiar dream. Who would my wife be laying next to? So he tried to swim on down there and looked, and to his shock, it was him. And that freaked him out so bad that he snapped back into his body and started this whole thing. He documents it very well in his first book, Journeys Out of the Body. And to him, he was just keeping notes. He didn't even want to release this as a book. It was just notes he was keeping, and his friend convinced him to publish it. And it's just fascinating what he goes through. And he goes through these crazy vibrations before he has his out of body, and he learns different techniques for going out of body, and he journeys all over to different like dimensions and realities. Yeah, so he learns all these things about consciousness. And what he really learns is that we are more than our physical bodies, which is what I now know after these last 2 days. I believed it, but now I know it. And it's a crazy experience when you go through it. But yeah, he learned all that he could learn from his experiences out of his body. He did different experiments. He worked with the CIA with the Project Stargate, which was using remote viewers and psychic spies to remote view on our enemies and gain intel. And it was highly successvul. It worked. It got results. If you want to look up more on that, you can look up Joe McMoneagle. He was the first remote viewer number 1. And actually, if you look up Area 52, Chris Ramsey, who runs that page, did an amazing documentary with Joe McMoneagle. And if you watch the episode, I think it's the first one, where it's Joe, and he was on live TV in Japan doing remote viewing and just blowing everyone's mind because it was 100% accurate. It is insane. I highly recommend checking it out if you're interested in that kind of thing. It's how it all ties into consciousness, everything. And even the UAP phenomena, I believe, is tied into consciousness. The orbs, it's all connected through consciousness. Consciousness is like the web that weaves everything together in reality. It's everything. It's the whole reason we are probably in this form, because we're a consciousness creating this form for us from our higher self to experience this reality. Because you are not your body. You are more than just this. You exist outside of it. But yeah, you exist outside of your body. You are more than your body. And like I said, once you learn that, you lose a lot of fears. But yeah, check out Project Stargate. There's declassified CIA documents that you can read and learn all kinds of crazy information about that and how it relates. And then you have all the quantum stuff, like quantum entanglement and how things can be connected. No matter the distance, they can react instantaneously when the other part is being afflicted. It's insane when you learn about it. And then you start learning about how all that stuff is tied into the spirituality side. And it's basically science is playing catch up with spirituality. It's very interesting to me how all these ancient cultures had all this information and all this knowledge on all these things that we are just now finding out about. They had such a greater degree of understanding of our reality that we've lost. And the problem is, we think that we're the greatest that's ever been on this planet, which I don't believe. I believe there's been way more advanced civilizations that have existed on this earth that either left or got wiped out or something, and we had to restart. And we're basically in the Stone Age of consciousness and being connected. We're advancing in different areas, but that part we are lacking in, and we need to work on it. And we need to grow past the violence and work together to solve this thing, to figure out how reality truly works, because it's a lot stranger than what we are led to believe. I went through so many years of my life just thinking all there was this material world and there was nothing else outside of it. And now once we were gone, that was it. It's a complete opposite 180 of what I believe now. I believe everything's connected. We are eternal. We exist forever. We just change vehicles. We are always learning. That's why we come here. We come to learn and grow. And what's the best way to learn? By experience. If you're doing something and you do it hands-on, you're going to learn it a lot better than just theoretically reading in a book, oh, this is how you do something. Like, oh, I know the steps how to do it, but until you do it for yourself, you're not going to truly know. And that's what this is experience. And yeah, I would just check out Robert Monroe, and I would check out Sean Webb, Mind Hacking Happiness, because that can take that information and then you can mold it into a new mindset of happiness, which ultimately is the goal we all want. We all want to be happy. And you can frame your thoughts and lose that version of self that you think you are, that you're not. You know, we're just a collection of ideas that make us up. And yeah, just look into it and, you know, let me know what you think. Tell me what information you can find. Do you think I'm right? Do you have your own theories? I'd love to hear them. Yeah, tell me down below.